bed? Yeah. Good. Now, lay back. Snuggle up in your little favorite blankie. Grab your stuffy. And listen to me. Okay? And first, I want you to take nice deep breaths. And exhale. Breathe in. And exhale. And just keep doing that, okay? Now I want you to close your eyes and just listen to me. And I want you to imagine that your entire body is a bright light. And one by one, I want you to slowly go throughout your entire body and turn off each light, okay? First, we're going to start at your head. Imagine there's a light bulb in your head. And I want you to slowly imagine yourself reaching for it and dimming the light until it's completely out. And then down to your nose, and then turn off that light. Good. Now your mouth, your chin, and your neck. Good. Now, little one, I want you to go down to your shoulders and just imagine yourself dimming those lights until they're completely off. All the way down to your elbow, to your cute little hands, to your tiny little fingertips, and turn your lights off, okay? Now, go to your left hand and do the same thing, okay? Now I want you to do that throughout your entire body, and I'm going to read you a story, okay? Now, this is the tale of Peter Rabbit. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank underneath the root of a very big fir tree. "Now, my dears," said old Miss Rabbit one morning, "you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father had an accident there. He was put into a pie by Mrs. McGregor. Now, run along and don't get into any mischief. I'm going out." Then old Miss Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella and went to the wood to the baker's. She bought a loaf of brown bread and 5 currant buns. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down the lane to gather blackberries. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden and squeezed under the gate. First, he ate some lettuce and some French beans, and then he ate some radishes. Then, feeling rather sick, he went to look for some parsley. But round the end of the cucumber frame, whom should he meet but Mr. McGregor? Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees planting young cabbages, but he jumped up and ran after Peter, waving a rake and calling out, "Stop, thief!" Peter was most dreadfully frightened. He rushed all over the garden, for he had forgotten the way back to the gate. He lost one of his shoes among the cabbages, and the other shoe among the potatoes. After losing his shoes, he ran on 4 legs and went faster. He might have gone away altogether if he had not unfortunately run into a gooseberry net and got caught by large buttons on the jacket. It was a blue jacket with brass buttons, quite new. Peter gave himself up for lost and shed big tears, but his sobs were overheard by some friendly sparrows, who flew to him in great excitement and begged him to try to free himself. Mr. McGregor came up with a sieve, which he intended to pop upon Peter, but Peter wriggled out just in time, leaving his jacket behind him. Peter rushed into the tool shed and jumped into a can. It would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if it had not had so much water in it. Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed, perhaps hidden underneath the flower pot. He began to turn them over carefully, looking under each. Presently, Peter sneezed. Achoo! Mr. McGregor was after him in no time. He tried to put his foot upon Peter, who jumped out of a small window, upsetting 3 plants. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, and he was tired of running after Peter, so he just went back to work. Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath and trembling with fright. He had not the least idea which way to go. Also, he was very damp from sitting in that can. After a time, he began to wonder about, going lippity, not very fast, and looking all around. He found a door in a wall, but it was locked. There was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath. An old mouse was running in and out over the stone doorstep, carrying peas and beans to her family in the woods. Peter asked her the way to the gate, but she had such a large pea in her mouth that she could not answer. Peter began to cry. Then he tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he became more and more puzzled. Soon he came to a pond. A white cat was staring at some goldfish. She sat very, very still. Peter thought it was best to go away. He had heard about cats from his cousin, Benjamin Bunny. Peter went back toward the tool shed. Suddenly, quite close to him, he heard the noise of a hoe. Scritch, scratch, scratch, scritch. Peter scurried underneath the bushes, but soon as nothing happened, he came out, climbed upon a wheelbarrow, and peeped over. The first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor hoeing onions. His back was turned toward Peter, and beyond him was the gate. Peter got down very quietly off the wheelbarrow and started running as fast as he could along the straight walk behind some black currant bushes. Mr. McGregor caught sight of him at the corner, but Peter did not care. He slipped underneath the gate and was safe at last in the woods outside the garden. Mr. McGregor hung up the little blue jacket and shoes for a scarecrow to frighten away the blackbirds. Peter never stopped running or looked behind him till he got home to the big fir tree. He was so tired that he flopped down upon the nice soft sand on the floor of the rabbit hole and shut his eyes. His mother was busy cooking. She wondered what he had done with his clothes. It was his second little jacket and pair of shoes that Peter had lost in a fortnight. That means 2 weeks, by the way. I am sorry to say that Peter was not very well during the evening. His mother put him to bed and made some chamomile tea. She gave a dose of it to Peter, 1 tablespoonful to be taken at bedtime. But Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail had bread and milk and blackberries for supper. The end. Are you sleeping? I hope so. Good night. Sweet dreams, and don't let the bed bugs bite, okay? I'll be here when you wake up. And then again tomorrow, I'll read you another bedtime story, okay?